Welcome to the Elite Life with Trisha and Kylie. This is where we'll teach you how to develop grit, give yourself grace, and succeed in real estate. So let's dive in.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of Elite Life. I'm Kylie, and with me, as always, is Trisha. She tried to sneak her gangster name in there, but we're not gangsters today. We're business ladies because we have two very special guests with us.
They're gangster, though.
They are gangster, but that's for later. We have Heather and Amy from Epic Title.
Woo! Hi, guys.
Hi. They didn't have energy drinks for breakfast.
They didn't.
We had energy drinks for breakfast.
Yes. So we're super excited to have you guys here. We had Heather on last year.
Yes.
Yeah, for episode 50 of our show, and we learned so much. So much. And if you haven't heard that one, it's still out there. So if you're listening now, you can pause or you can go later.
No, listen to this and then go listen to episode 50.
See, Trisha's
then you
trying
get
to boss you
double
around.
the inspiration, motivation, and
Trying
fire.
to boss you around. But let's dig in with Amy now that Amy's here and get to know everybody. So let's first unpack, who you guys are, your partnership. So Amy, tell us a little bit about your story. Where'd you come from and how did you land here?
Where did you come from? Where did you go? See, my brain works like yours.
She's lit, man.
What's the
She's
song?
lit is the thing.
Musical Tourette's.
And Amy.
Okay. So I have been in title. I met Heather in title, actually. I did real estate before I was in title, and then it kind of sparked my interest. I took a little bit of time off to have my daughter, and it sparked my interest. Title, this behind the scenes kind of a thing, and I'm kind of more into that. And I know that real estate, you got to give it your all, and I kind of wanted to have time for my daughter. She was young, going back to work. So I started in title, and I got sucked in. I started very low, and I worked my way up. I made it to funding manager at a title company, and then I met Heather at the same title company, and I loved her from jump. So we worked and realized that we could probably do this on our own. So that's kind of what sparked the go for Epic.
So how long had you been in title before that? Like how long have you been in title work?
So before we started Epic, it was 6 years for me in title.
Okay. And then you were in real estate. Were you a realtor?
I was a realtor. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I was I did admin first, then I was a buyer's agent, and then I went full on and got listings and stuff.
And you were like, this sucks.
It was a lot. I actually got pregnant. So that's kind of was.
Those daggone kids.
I wanted to stay home with my baby. So
Yeah. I can dig that. We have kids. We know how that goes.
Yeah.
I love how you were like, you guys met each other and you went and did karate in the garage. And then you were like, let's just do this by ourselves. Like, that is super brave.
Right.
Yeah.
Super brave.
Yeah. I would have never, I think I said this in the last episode too, but like now I get to say it with you right here. I would have, if anybody else would have came to me and asked me like, hey, I think we can do this. Are you in? I would have been like, you're crazy. But I was all in because it's just.
We just clicked.
Yeah.
We clicked. She's got her. She knows that side of it. I know this side of it, and that it just makes us a whole. So
I love that so much.
So how did that happen? Were you guys like at after dinner drinks and you wrote it on a napkin? Because that's how I started my first real estate company. It was like beers and burgers after work one time, and I literally had a napkin. And then I was like, oh yeah, I could do this, and this. Like I had thought about it by myself in like the basement when I was getting my broker's license, but to actually like be like, I'm gonna have a business by myself, like that was way too much. So
yeah.
I love that your business plan was on a napkin. That's so cool.
yeah. From what is that burger place? Miller's on Michigan Ave in Dearborn. Yeah, I was there. Like
amazing.
the
Do you
dirtiest.
still have the napkin?
No.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
She had it
I
framed
did for
in
a
her
while.
office.
That would be awesome.
If I hadn't moved 27 times,
You might have.
literally,
Right.
I might have that napkin. But I also like to throw a lot of stuff away. So
What was the question? Oh, how did it start? What was the idea to do it on your own?
yeah.
I don't. Honestly,
Was it just like we're doing it, or did you guys like talk about it for a long time?
Honestly,
Was it a plan?
It was. I'm kind of a control freak. I mean, admittedly so. And it just wasn't getting done where I was the way I felt it could be done. So Heather was the one that I talked to. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, this is happening. We can't do anything about it, kind of a thing. So it conspired. And then I'm like, you know what? We can do this. We could really do this. And it took about, a year, maybe 2, to really say, okay, we really can do this. And then it
Here we
happened.
are,
Yeah. So it just kind of, it took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
It was brewing.
It was brewing. It brewed.
It was.
I'm sure.
They were brewing while they were doing karate in the garage.
Right.
together.
Yeah.
I love that analogy. That's
Yeah, and
I took
you know,
that from Step Brothers, by the way. So if you guys haven't seen that, go watch it.
well, the title industry is very competitive, right? Like from a real estate perspective, I know like I constantly have title companies coming in and they're like, you should work with me, you should work with me, you should work with me, you should work with me. So like, what do you feel like was like your unique approach or strategy that you were going to undertake or that you do undertake where you were like, we know we'll be successful at it, even though there's a lot of people, because we're going to do this?
So I think our biggest thing is our relationships. We super focus on our relationships. We're not the title company that's going to just tell you no and not try to think outside the box and get things done, right? So
I will testify to that.
That's awesome.
there has to be a way to close a deal, right? Like no matter what is wrong with title, there has to be a way out of it somehow.
Everything is figure outable.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
She's been listening to our podcast.
Yeah, but we really believe that, though. There has to be a way, and we will find the way. And it's just, there's so many, I think that you work with title companies sometimes when they're like, we just can't do it. We can't do it, or we need these things. And you're like, well, I don't have these things.
Or how do I get these things?
Right,
Like
right.
even just
Help
that.
me, right. So that's the process. We take that and we educate our agents. We build those relationships with them so that they have trust in us. And we're not afraid to be there for them when they need us, like on the weekends, because they're still working. They're showing properties on nights and on the weekends, and they maybe need answers to questions. So we're going to answer those questions. We're not afraid to do that.
I will also testify to that. And we've said it before. Like there have been, the reason that we use you guys is because I've reached out to Heather so many times on like 8:30 on a Sunday night, and I'm like, yo, I need help figuring this out. I don't know what to do. Like we're on the brink. And she's like, hold on, I'm at the grocery store. Give me 2.5 hours. I'll get back to you. And like, I have a light at the end of the tunnel. I know you're going to get back to me. And then you call me at like 9:30 and you're like, hey, I got out of the grocery store early. Here, I solved your problem. And I'm like, yes.
I love that.
I can also testify to it because the reason why you guys got me to use Epic because for a long time you guys were like, hey, use this. And I loved Heather from the old title company. I hadn't known you yet, Amy. But Heather's like, come on, coming in the office, bring in the things. But a lot of people do that, right? Yeah. What got me was I called you and I was like, hey, I know it's 8:45 a.m. I need to close a deal by noon, and can I order title work and you do it and close it in 3 hours? And you're like, yeah, sure. And I was like, no, like for real. And you're like, yeah. And then you did it, and I was like, dang.
And it wasn't even like we'll try, we'll scramble, but I can't get. She was like, yeah.
No, yeah, it wasn't even a question. You're just like, yep. And I was like, all right, I'm sold. And ever since then, all the things the title companies, and if you're in real estate, you've heard this. It's the end of the month. Yeah, the end of the month comes every month, guys. Hey, guess what? It happens.
If anybody knows about the end of the month, it's ladies, right? So let's just...
Not the time of the month, the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
That one got me all the time.
That was my
the other one I heard the other day, well, our policy is, I don't give a crap what your policy is. Like, it's always something. And if I had a list of all the things the title companies told me that annoy me, never once have I heard anything from that list from you guys. So thank you.
That's great to hear.
Thank you. It's amazing. I'm always like, they can do it. They can do it. They can do it. Anything you need, they can do it. And like you said, Heather, I always go back to this story. New Year's Eve, I'm like, hey, Heather. And you're like, let me put my groceries down. I'm like, I know it's New Year's Eve. You're like, yeah, no, it's not a problem. And there are zero other title companies in the entire universe that would do that. I've been doing this for 20 years. Like,
there are zero.
That's a lot of title companies in 20 years,
That goes back to the relationships.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're important to us, and anybody that we bring onto our team is going to be trained to feel that same way. So that's what I love about the whole culture that we've built.
Absolutely.
Everybody feels the same way. They all will be respectful and be kind to our agents because they know that, like, you guys are so important. If we didn't have you, that would be a problem.
Yeah, which you'd think is common sense, but I feel like a lot of companies don't. Nearly all. Like, you guys are the exception, for sure, the exception to that. So, like, can you talk, you said culture, so I'd love if you guys kind of unpacked that for us. How do you cultivate that culture? Because I feel like it's so rare, especially in the title industry.
I would say first, transparency, absolutely, and servant leadership.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we're in there with it.
Yeah.
in it with them. Jesus. So we roll up our sleeves and we're doing it side by side, and so we try to show them, like, this is what we're doing and this is how we want you guys to do it. But we also pick the right people.
We do. Yeah,
We've had, had our times where we've maybe hired somebody that wasn't the right fit. We're very cognizant of it now. So when we're in an interview with somebody, we can immediately tell by the questions we ask if they're going to fit the culture or not. Because that over everything is so important to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of those questions that you ask that help you to differentiate? Because I know for myself, as somebody who interviews people, I'm always like, oh, how do I know? Because you're in an interview, everybody seems, I'm a people person.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Karen. You're not a people person. We know you're not. I know you're not. I don't even know if I'm a people person. I like to be by myself in my car, alone, in the quiet, you know? Like,
my biggest thing, I think, is, so instead of asking somebody, what do you think is your best quality? Or what do you think is your worst quality? Or what do you think you're the best at? I say, what would the people that worked with you say was your best quality? Because then it takes them out of their own mind, so they're not thinking about themselves. They're actually going to give you a more honest answer, because you'd be surprised. Some people will be like, well, people would probably say that I'm really mean. And I'm like, you just said that. And you probably wouldn't have said that if I would have asked you what your best quality was, because it catches them off guard, you know?
I think another thing, too, if they're money driven right away, if they're asking about money and position and status, that's a red flag. So it's about the culture and the family and the idea of being with a company that's about the people rather than how much am I going to get paid. I think that's really important too.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously there's opportunity for growth and everything, but we want to see that they want to stay with us and build that growth with us. So that's super important too. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that a lot, because it goes a lot with, like, the culture that you've got too. What I'm noticing is, cohesive partnerships, as I've been getting into real estate, getting into, and just meeting other title companies, other agents from other brokerages, is one thing that I'm finding is that the most satisfied, because success looks different for everybody, I think the most satisfied people that I run into are from a culture that is supportive, that is like familial in style, like that everybody actually gives a crap about, like, your agents are not just a number for you. Your employees and your clients are not just a number for you, like you just said. And I absolutely love that that is something that goes on in our lives.
Yeah. It is
we're lucky.
great. Yes.
and I think that, like, I did a class at U of M one time. It was an entrepreneurship class, and the guy was like, do not treat your business like a family. And that, like, struck me because he was, like, a 7-time CEO, and I'm like, am I doing it wrong, you know?
Was it take the emotion out of business kind of a thing?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
these people, like, these are your employees, and, like, you need to be their leader, and, you know, power buys from power and all of those dynamics. And so it really, like, made me question, like, should you have that kind of culture? Should you not? Like, what is your take on that? Like, because building a company from scratch, you got to ask yourself a lot of those questions. And I feel like you probably I know I re-ask myself those questions a lot.
Yeah.
Like, am I doing it wrong? Am I putting up the right boundaries? Am I not? Like, how do you guys make those decisions? And how did you go about deciding that together? What kind of culture you would build?
So I have a really big take on that. I feel like for us, there's something that we do with each other, and it's just being authentic and completely honest. And if we're feeling something, or even if we're having a bad day, right? Like, I'll come in and be like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a rough morning. Like, it's rough for me today. And she picks me up and helps carry me through the day, truly, and changes my mood. But we do that with our whole team too. So I feel like you can be the leader, but also just, it's all about the communication. I read this book called Radical Candor, and
Oh,
that
yeah, that was
changed
great.
my life, because it's talking about how it's actually more kind to just give them the honest truth. So like you see somebody and their zipper's down and you're embarrassed and you don't want to tell them, so you just walk away. Well, that's actually not the nice thing to do, because you think maybe I'm going to embarrass them if I say something. No, if you pull them aside and you say, hey, your zipper's down, they're going to be so thankful that you did that, right? So you can still lead and do it kindly.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. We leave space for mistakes. We don't. We let them make mistakes. We encourage them to fall forward, kind of thing too. So that's what it is. It's honesty, I think, for sure.
I love that you said you let them make mistakes, and because I do that too at Elite. And the other day, one of our agents had done something, and she texted Andy and was like, "Trish's gonna be so mad at me," and he had screenshot and sent it to me, and I'm like, I would never be mad. Like, it's not a great look for us, but I would never be mad at somebody because of X, Y, Z. Like, I'm never. Kylie does that all the time too. Like, you're gonna fire me, and I'm like, I would never fire you. I would never be mad at you. It's not a great look, right? But giving them that space to feel like I don't have to be perfect or I let you down, right? And being open and honest with that communication. That's great.
And that's where our leadership comes in is, did you learn from it? What did you take from it? How are you going to go forward? And us following up on it. So, and they it's the respect they gain with that. So
That's awesome. And I heard Alex Hermosi talking about this too. Like, a girl came to him and literally lost him like $2 million. And she's like, I know I'm fired. And he's like, no, you're not. Like you just said, what did you learn? And he's like, the thing is she will never make that mistake ever again, because she felt the shame, the embarrassment, and we made it okay. Like, we talked about how that's never going to happen again, and we all moved on. And now I have an amazing employee who will never, ever do that ever again.
yeah, and trust their leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I find, like, usually they have beat themselves up more than you ever could. And you're
I've
like,
been there.
Like when we were kids and your mom was just like, you just wait till your dad gets home, right? And you spend all day just like beating yourself up, and then dad gets home and he's like, well, what'd you learn? And like, everything's fine and we all have dinner.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So coming from that place of mistakes and things, like, what were some of, like, it's so hard to start a company from scratch, right? Especially one in a competitive space like real estate or title. Like, what were some of the big obstacles you guys were like, I don't know if we're going to make it through this? And then how did you navigate those?
I don't think it was hard for us to start. It was
Nice.
It was fun. It was so fun. It was challenging, but it wasn't hard.
At the time that we did it in, though, you got to remember, it was 2020, and
It was booming.
Yeah.
It was great for
Right?
real estate. It was great for title.
it was actually the perfect time to start because, you know, interest rates were at 1.99%. So we were busy right off the bat, and that was amazing. But I do think we've learned a whole lot, right? So we've had a lot of experiences where we're like, oh, now that we've been through it, we would have maybe done that differently. But I will say this. I feel like every single thing that we went through, we needed to go through to be where we are now. So with that all being said, yeah, I'm going to make different choices in the future, but we had to make those choices.
We did. I would say one thing that I would definitely, a standout for me is know the people you get into business with. That's so important.
So important.
Very, very important.
I learned that lesson like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's tough because you want to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that we have similar personalities in that, like, we want to see the world as rainbow and unicorns, and we want to help everybody, and we want to trust everybody is doing the best they can with what they have. And what we learn is sometimes that's not true. Sometimes they are money driven or, you know, status driven or this or that. And then when maybe things do get a little hard, it's like, oh, okay.
That's who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you figure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you've ran into some of those spaces, like when the pause happened at the end of last year, like, how did you guys decide and navigate through that as partners? Because, I mean, you guys seem to get along really well. We just had Andy on the podcast. Me and him didn't always get along really well. So when the hard things happen, though, you really have to figure that out. So how did you guys manage those spaces?
I feel like we pivoted well.
We did, for sure.
We went through a hard time. We had to lay some people off, or we had to lay our family off. And that was the toughest part of it. But we knew what we had to do, and we had each other to kind of, it's okay. We could do this together. So.
And we jumped back in, head first, so that everybody that was left, you know, we had the conversation with our whole team and said, listen, we're here with you. We're on the front lines with you. And like I took on your guys' files at that point in time because that was what needed to happen.
We're very fortunate that we could work in the business.
Yes.
We know the business. So Heather and I both jumped back in, and we were okay.
Yeah. And just being open and honest with each other. We don't always agree on everything. And when we don't, we're super respectful of each other's opinion. I will tell you this, if either one of us is very strongly going one way, the other one generally always follows that. Because if we have a conviction, then we
There's a
trust
reason for
each
it.
other. Right. So that's something that I think we're really good at, trying to balance between the two of us.
And I love just circling back how you said we're here with you. We are in the trenches with you. And I think that's one thing that people in leadership, not people, specific people like we just talked about, maybe money driven, ego driven, status driven. A lot of times that's where they'll stop. That's where they'll fail. And I love that all three of you as leaders are willing to jump in. Like you said, like we know the business, we can do this, we can fill these gaps. And I think that's really what's important about one thing that's important about being a good leader is being able to fill those gaps and say, I'm not too proud to, XYZ with my team.
Well, and I think I do Heather because I knew her first. So it's like in real estate, I'm always like, when we get a client in real estate, it's like a baby imprinting on a mom. They keep coming back to the realtor, even though it's not our time, right? It might be the mortgage company's time or the title company's time. I imprinted on Heather, so I always go back to her. And what I really like that you do, and I try to catch myself, is like, I'll still send my orders to you, even though it's not your job anymore.
Okay.
And I'll CC you on stuff. And then I'll be like, dude, I need to stop doing that because it's really like we have a processor and somebody else, and it's just like that natural thing. But you never go, Trish, Diana is your person now. You can stop CCing me, or you can stop texting me, or you can stop calling me, or you could call Amy, or she's here too. Like you always just handle it, and that's like super cool and really, really helpful because sometimes it's really just I don't think. You're going 100 miles an hour,
Or you're like, how do I spell Diana at
right, but you're never like, that's not my job anymore. Can you just talk to this person or do this person or do this person or whatever?
And I never will, because it's all about the relationships. I mean, we really do care about our people and our clients. Those are our people. And we care so much about our clients that we care about your clients too. You know what I mean? It's like this whole big family, and I will never ever turn anybody away, and neither would Amy. That's what we're here for.
It's like do unto others how you want to be done unto.
Yeah.
That's our feeling. Absolutely.
So do you have people that do that to you too, Amy, that you started the relationship and now they keep going to you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm always like, I swear I know you're there. I didn't forget you. It's just my brain is stuck here.
No, I like it too. I mean, I'll be sad if that ever stops. You know what I mean? If there's a day where I'm like, I didn't hear from any real estate agents today. I can't even picture that, by the way. That felt weird saying it.
You're like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here.
Yeah. For sure.
And how do you guys like navigate that relationship too, like that division of roles and responsibilities? Do you guys like have anything like that outlined, or is it just kind of like on the fly, or how do you guys support each other and divide and conquer?
That's exactly what it is, divide and conquer. I have what I'm good at, she has what she's good at, and it kind of has its natural paths. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. So there's a lot that we collaborate on, obviously the business, the growth, the culture, but it literally in title, it's black and white. I do the finances, I do the behind the scenes, the business. Heather does the relationships, the sales, it's black and white. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it is. We're very fortunate.
Yes.
Did you guys decide that up front, or it just happened?
It was where we were, our areas of expertise, right?
We knew it kind of going into it. Like we could do this together because of this.
Yes. That's why it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel like because you guys have those different spaces that, like, does one of you hire people, or do you both hire people? Do you guys ever have discrepancies on, like, Heather really likes this girl, and you're like, no?
We definitely, we both hire, but we definitely have our own opinions.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's funny because I am a empath. So I will get a read on somebody the moment they walk into a room, right? And I'll tell Amy, here's what I think. And
I'm like,
she's
no.
like,
I don't feel that way.
let's give it a minute.
Why do you feel that way?
Right. But I mean, she does say that I'm usually always right.
She typically is.
So there's like just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Just going to put that out there.
All right. Well, this is a great spot to pause. So sit tight. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be back this whole month is just Epic Saga month. I just decided that's our theme.
Do you know more than 80% of real estate agents fail and quit in their first year of business? MyStarsAcademy.com has set out to solve this problem by providing a convenient, expert-based training and coaching program for both agents and brokers. The Agent Accelerator program teaches agents everything they need to know to level up their business, have a constant flow of free leads, convert those leads into clients, and take those clients to the closing table and keep them coming back for more as repeat business. Our industry experts have years of proven success in the business and are here to share that gold through one-on-one coaching. This will help you achieve more structure and work-life balance. We will map you a plan you can follow, which will guide you through the steps to scale and grow in both your business and personal life. Don't be a statistic. Visit MyStarsAcademy.com and enroll today so you can get the success you deserve.
And we are back.
We are back.
We're back.
We're here with
We're
Heather
here.
and Amy
Yeah.
with Epic Title.
Let's go.
The saga continues. All right. So one thing that I would really like to start this portion off with is, you guys play such a vital role in the transaction, in the purchase sale process. So can you share like is there a super memorable success story that just like really sticks out for both of you? So that people can like understand like outside of our praise.
I would say the hard stuff.
Like when
People come to us
So
for the hard stuff.
yeah, I have a lot of people that like maybe use a different title company, and I'm not going to say their names on here because I don't want to sell them out. But when it's a hard deal, right, they'll come to us all the time because they know that we're going to figure out a way to get it done. And a lot of people would be like, oh, they only bring me their hard deals. But I kind of love it because we're building that relationship, and I'm showing them that, like, listen, we got you. We can do the hard stuff. We will figure out a way to do this. So that is always, it's not one specific thing, but it happens quite often where somebody will call us and say, hey, I got something really hard. Can you do it? And
Can you close me in 2 hours?
right. Yeah. And the answer is yes. Sure. Yes. So I think that's, always really good.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite like epic business stories, like in your office or with each other? Like,
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
There are so many. I will say this. I love to be on the road with Amy.
Yeah,
So,
I was
if
thinking
we're
that same thing.
going to, trainings or agents' offices, like doing pop-bys and just saying hi to everybody. I live for those days. They're the most fun because we just have a blast.
We laugh out loud the
Yes.
whole time, and
Yeah.
it's the best. It's
Yeah.
the best.
Like, I think I'm really funny, but she laughs at everything that I say.
She is really fun.
Not to toot my own horn.
It's so great when somebody actually laughs, though. I'm like, oh.
We're a lot different in business, but we're a lot alike in our personal values and our morals, and we just click.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
I feel
those
that
are
way
always-
about you.
yeah, you make me laugh.
Yeah,
you are
because we
funny.
don't agree on everything like global warming and things like that, but
Like all the actual important things in the world, we do not see eye to eye. But
I wouldn't
she will
say
make me
all
laugh.
of them. Yeah.
Funny.
That is amazing, though.
Yep. for
Therapy
sure.
sessions are important, especially like when you're in a business like this that is fast paced. It's a flippin' roller coaster. And I think that is too, like, I think secretly everybody in the real estate industry and, like title, mortgage, I think we're all secretly like adrenaline junkies
Yes.
Oh, yes. 100%.
because
You have to be.
you get those deals where like they do get your heart pumping. You're like, all right, I don't know if this is going to work, but here we go. Right?
Yeah.
I love it.
And
I
it
love
doesn't
it.
feel right if it's not top notch. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like on days where, I plan to be home with the kids, I'm just like, oh, I gotta be doing something. Like something's going on,
What's one thing that you guys were just shocked that you were able to get done? You were like what you're saying, like, oh, I'm gonna try to get this done, but
And
I
you
don't know if
just
it's gonna
pulled that.
work.
Here's one thing I always say about you guys is I'm like, and I tell my clients, I'm like, listen, especially if I'm at a listing agreement, I'm like, I use Epic Title. If you want to use another company, that's fine, but just understand these people know how to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah, I'm like, when
Legit.
it goes to crap, don't come crying to me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, I mean, I think I was very scared about certain things when we started, like FOIA, right? Like that was a huge, I was just like, oh, this whole unknown world, I don't know enough about it. And where we were before, it wasn't something that was shared with everybody, how it worked, how you reviewed stuff like that. I am super impressed with us because we figured that out, and it's so easy.
Tell our listeners about it. What is it?
I was just going to
How does
say,
it
for
work?
people who don't know what
We do
the
have a lot
lingo
of
is.
new realtors and just general people in the world that need to know about this stuff.
Yeah, so FOIA it stands for Freedom of Information Act, but when you purchase a property at a tax auction, everybody thinks they have clear title, right? They don't, because there's a lot of people's interest or maybe mortgages, just things that maybe haven't been cleared, and we have to prove that they have been cleared or at least properly notified.
There's not always a policy
Yeah.
on that property that they get. Sometimes
So
there is, but
there are title companies that will charge you like $600 to pull a FOIA package and review the FOIA. But I will tell you this. It costs us $12.75 usually to pull a FOIA package.
Okay.
And it's not that hard to review it and send it over to the underwriter to say, hey, this is what we think. Do you agree with us? And get approval to remove stuff.
we were blown away.
Yeah.
At how easy it is.
It's-
I've seen a company charge $1,000 and $1,500 actually. Now that I think about it, the first one I seen charged $1,500 for FOIA.
That's the thing, right? It's like, why would we do that to our people? Like that we want to offer a service, and we want it to be something where it's that seems like robbery. Either they're already in a bad spot, they want to close, and now they have to wait.
And pay astronomical amounts of money for it
Yeah.
when it's
And-
literally less than $15.
It doesn't always clear it either, too. So you just paid that much money, and now you still have to quiet title.
Right.
That just doesn't seem right to do that. So, yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And you mentioned quieting title. So I love this because we do, like I said, we have a lot of investors and realtors. So when someone kind of unpack that really quickly for us if you can. If you buy a house from tax sale, right? Because that's a big thing. I'm going to buy a house from tax sale. What does that look like for me to be able to resell it?
So if we order a FOIA package, or a lot of times there's actually a policy that was done when they purchased it. A lot of people don't know this. We can reach out to, especially in Wayne County and Detroit, if those are where the properties are located, we can reach out to the Land Bank Authority and see if they did a policy. But they didn't always, right? So if they didn't have a policy, that's when we order the FOIA package. The FOIA package, like I said, it stands for Freedom of Information Act. It just shows if the people were properly notified. So you literally get pictures of like the proof of service that was given to these companies and people. And so we can see how many times, because there's a very specific guideline that has to be followed. So if that guideline wasn't followed, that means those interests are still there and you have to quiet title, which just means now those steps have to be taken by an attorney, which we work with an amazing real estate attorney that we always refer people to, because if you tell them that you're working with Epic, they'll typically give you a discount and let you pay them out of the proceeds of the property. But to quiet that title, it can take 60 to 90 days. It depends on how much stuff has to be quieted, how many interests have to be quieted. And they just have to get a judgment from the court, and then we have to record that judgment quieting title. Yeah. So it removes all of those interests, and then we're able to issue a policy, so that way the buyer doesn't have to worry about anybody sneaking up saying, hey, that's my property, or I have a mortgage and I'm going to foreclose on it, because those are things that people don't think about when they purchase the property at tax sale.
Right. And I've had a couple, first-time home buyers and first-time, sellers, people who, inherited a house or something like that. And when I am telling them about the importance and the role that you guys play, that is definitely something I bring up. I'm like, listen, for example, you inherited this property from grandma or great-grandma. You don't know which uncles, which cousins, someone in the will, like all of this other stuff could have happened, or where she got it from, how she got it. And working with Epic Title is going to make sure that everything goes smoothly, that everything is nice and clean and crispy. And by the time this all wraps up, everybody's happy and everything's cleared up.
That's awesome that you educate your clients like that.
I mean, you have to, because otherwise, I mean, if God forbid, if something did come up, now their expectations are already managed. They're like, oh, I remember when we had this talk, Grandma deeded 25% to Uncle Joe during this time. So now Epic Title is going to help me take care of it. Uncle Joe's dead. We got the death certificate, blah, 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 blah. Everything's good.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why I wanted to have you guys both on the show, because I think when it comes to title work, like, you don't know what you don't know in the world, right? And as realtors, when we are told by a title title almost seems like the magical Wizard of Oz, right? Like, you guys stand back there and you give us this piece of paper and then you tell us, like, you can or can't close, right? And if we can't, we're like, well, why? And then we always get this response that, like, it's impossible. It's going to take forever. You have to do quiet title. And quiet title sounds like, well, what is that? And I feel like title companies very often, like, make you feel like it's going to be this huge, hard,
Arduous,
expensive ordeal. And Heather, you're always just like, yeah, it's like $12. No, just be done.
I've never met anybody as confident as Heather in this business, honestly. And everything is figure-outable. Like, truly, it really is.
Key.
It's not the big bad monster.
No, that's the key. That's one of my, I will say one of my biggest pet peeves is, like, when people are like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it's like, calm down first and foremost.
First of all.
Right, that's what we're going to do.
Simmer down.
Because we will figure it out. And so that's the thing, right? It's just always having that mentality of, everything is going to work out. It's going to be okay. There's a way out of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Heather's really good at that, calming people down in that situation for
So, Amy, from your perspective, like, what does a day look like for you in the business?
Numbers. All about the numbers. Yep. So I do all the accounting, we have joint ventures. So I do all the joint venture stuff. I'm in funding a lot, so I pay attention to, like, the bank reconciliations. It's numbers for me.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Really?
I love it.
Isn't that weird? No.
I'm sitting over here like, God, I'm so glad somebody else likes numbers because I don't.
Well, numbers make sense. They're not stressful, right?
Yeah, I'm a behind the scenes person. Absolutely. I like people, but I'm not the salesy. I'm not the hands-on-y. I don't like to talk on the phone. I'm very much put me behind a desk and I'm good. So, and give me the numbers.
See, and I think the exact opposite. I feel like numbers are so stressful. That's where I would be like, Amy, calm me down. Calm me down.
That's the yin and the yang to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And then, like you mentioned, joint ventures. I feel like there's a lot of moving pieces in title that people don't really realize is happening, like with underwriters or, that there's multiple people involved in the title business. So, like, can you kind of maybe debunk, like, or kind of unpack, like, what does it look like in a title company? Like, okay, I send you an offer, and then what?
Yeah, sure. So we have different departments, right? So you submit an order in, and in our company, because different companies do things differently, we're super big on one point of contact. So your actual escrow officer, some people call it a processor, puts in your order. They are inputting your order because we want them to know from the very beginning all of the things about the order.
All the things.
All the things. It's so important.
It is.
And then we have somebody that comes in and does what we call file statusing. So they call the municipalities, they pull taxes, the water, specials, order payoffs, status letters, all of that stuff. And then it goes to exam. And our exam department does the title search. They put the commitment together. And then it goes back to escrow, and your same person that input your order sends out the commitment to you and tells you what's needed to clear title. We work to get everything cleared, and then you guys schedule the closing again with your escrow officer, because again, the one point of contact. They work it up, they prepare the closing documents, and then the closer takes it, brings everything to the table, closes it with everybody, and then brings it back to our office and gives it to our funding and post-closing. And they are the unsung heroes of title, because they do everything that has to deal with money, right? So they're sending out payoffs, they're sending out taxes, they're getting proceeds out, they're wiring commissions, they're doing all of the things, and they have stuff that happens because those escrows, sometimes we're holding them for a long time.
Yeah, it's basically a bank.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, there's checks out there that are uncashed, and they do the 1099 reporting, and there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it in post-close.
Yeah. So that's like kind of the gist of it.
And that's the person we don't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're doing so
We
much.
know you guys and Lauren and
I know them.
I have no
Their
idea
email
who
is
sends the money.
post-close. Because I send them all my water bills, check in with them on the 45-day documents and all of that
There's
fun
3
stuff.
of them, and they're phenomenal, all of them.
Are those the girls in the basement?
Yes.
Oh, I love the basement
That sounds
gang.
so bad.
No. Nice.
We
Listen.
have windows in our basement, everybody.
Yes.
Nobody knows them, and they're in the
Listen,
basement.
they have a Keurig down there. We've got all kinds of nice things. We watch TV all day. It's good.
Yeah.
I just remember good time. Before you gave me the Waterford, gave me. She bequeathed to me.
It's true. I know
Before
that.
she gave me the Waterford office, I was hanging out in these ladies' basements. And remember, I told you, I'm like, I will pay you money. I just can't work at my house.
We love it when people pop in.
Yes. Yeah.
All that
we
made
welcome
me
it.
think of is that movie Office Space where the guy's like, I need my red stapler. Did you move me to the basement? And then he burns the place down.
But circling back real quick, you just walked us through like basically your file handoff system. So we all have technology that we use to keep our files going so that everybody knows what's going on. So like, how is your company, what encountered any unique challenges or opportunities with regard to like your CRMs and things like that? Like, how important is that?
So I think mostly it's fraud, right? So
Fraud.
not even anything with our systems, but just the amount of fraud that is happening in the
Stop
world right
it.
now. I'm not kidding. So we get.
I'm being sarcastic.
I am so serious.
I'm
But-
super serial.
We'll get payoffs. We'll get like somebody will try to hack us and send us.
Keyword
an
is
email.
try because
Yes.
we're really good at protection and
diligent.
security.
Yes.
So, I mean, we just got a fraud attempt on our fax
Yeah.
2 days ago.
Where
What?
they sent us a payoff. They intercepted a payoff and sent us a different one with different wire instructions. But we are super diligent. And honestly, we have one of the best processors on the face of the planet, and she figured it out.
Shout out Alexis.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, so amazing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? You just got to make sure your people know what to look out for.
Yeah, how? How do you know?
Well, we have systems.
Yeah,
so,
we
like,
have a lot of systems in place. So there's little nuances on things. Like payoffs, it's always going to be the same account number and the same routing number, with the exception of Mr. Cooper. So we know that. We make templates.
Cooper.
Mr. Cooper.
I just closed one with Mr. Cooper.
Yeah. Nothing bad on Mr. Cooper, but they just make it a little tougher to be secure. So processes.
Yeah.
We're super diligent.
Knowing what to pay attention to and notating it so that and training people on the right things to do.
Yeah.
Security on your emails, that's huge. We don't ever email wire instructions to the agent. We'll send them directly to the buyer via secured email because
It's very stressed when we're talking to you guys. We stress that. We can't stress that enough. Do not email because Gmail is what gets hacked the most.
yeah.
No.
It's the agents.
I'm pulling from the well here today, the sarcasm well.
I know, I was going to say, really?
yes.
So you guys mentioned like, and you've mentioned, and I never thought about this. So like, education and conferences. So what does that look like for you guys in the title world? Do you guys have like continuing education? Like, how do you know what to do and how to do it?
They don't require, in the state of Michigan, you don't have to do Con Ed for title. But we do, so we just joined
MLTA,
Yeah, so-
Michigan Land Title Association.
Yeah, and so they have conferences, and they'll bring in speakers to talk about all of the things that are going on in the marketplace. They'll bring in, people to talk about the economy and what we can expect.
And then
moving
fraud
forward.
specialists. And I would have to say, though, our underwriters. We
Yes,
we are
they're huge.
besties with
Yeah.
our reps that are underwriting. We Fidelity, First American, and Doma, and they teach us so much.
They do.
Yeah, we consistently interact with them. So for sure, underwriting.
Because I think that's one thing, like, when I first started real estate, I'm like, Con Ed is stupid. It's just a dumb obligation that I have to do to keep my license open. And honestly, I have learned so much. Even at our last Con Ed, we had home inspection come in, and I learned so much from them. And it's something that I feel like if you're not continuing to learn these things or get updates on these things, you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah.
Keyword is update. Everything's changing. It changes all the time.
Everything is. It's annoying.
Yeah, and that being said, like, how do you guys feel like you capitalize on the good times and pivot on the bad times? Like, what does that look like for you?
So we have a business plan, right? So we have our budget, we budget out, we know what we're going to do, what we think we're going to do. And it's really easy for us because that ties into, you know, what the market's going to do. So
we have a plan A, B, C, D, and E.
Yes. Yep.
Written?
We do.
We do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, it's funny because you're like, we have a business plan, right? But like, I didn't have a business plan written. It was just like, go do this stuff, you know? So that's crucial. You
Yeah.
have a written business plan. You have key performance indicators is what I'm hearing.
we have a really important, I'll say a mentor in our life that
Okay.
has taught us a lot,
So much.
so much, to how to create the business plan, what should go on your business plan, what your budget should look like, what this data means, and this is how you put it together. So it definitely was our mentor that helped us out a lot on that.
All about those relationships, guys.
Yeah.
Mentorship and coaching.
Yep.
Yeah,
We do a lot of coaching. We have a lot of coaches. We have a life coach, goals coach. We have our mentor. We have a therapist that we both see now that is helping us along. So it's all about the people.
It is.
That's amazing. I love that you guys pour so much into that, because I think that, like we were talking with Andy, like so many adults are uncoachable, you know, and being open to saying, yeah, I can improve or I can grow. I think that's super important to maintaining success and esteem.
Agreed.
For sure.
Yeah, and that being said, what do you think is the most, number one, like if everything else flew out the window today, what is the most important factor for maintaining a good co-founder relationship?
Just our honesty and transparency with each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always, honesty.
We just have the best relationship. It's amazing, and it's crazy because we often will say the same things at the same time. It happens so often, even when we're on Zoom meetings.
We do. It's like we're sisters. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. But also at the same time, we can say the hard things to each other because you can't do that to everybody, you know?
Yeah, it's that level of respect. It really is.
Yeah, that's...
And I knew that the second I met her. It was crazy. It was like, she's my person. I just felt it. It was that energy.
She pulled it out of me because I didn't even know who I was back then.
I love that so much.
That is so good. So, you know, over the years, like what have been some of the most important lessons you've learned about what success looks like for each of you? And maybe you each answer this separately because I think success looks different on different people.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, know who you are, people. Know who you're getting into business with. Second of all, self. You have to love yourself. You have to take care of yourself. And success doesn't have to look like busy, busy, busy burnout. It's okay to take the time and kind of settle into it. So I think that's a main takeaway from our partnership is be good to yourself first, because it doesn't go anywhere unless you're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I very much on the same page. For me, honestly, this past year has been super transformative in my own life, and I've just really realized that for me, being successful is just being authentically me, right? If I can be authentically me with everybody, that's what I want to do, right? Then I feel like I've been successful. That's it. I mean, you love yourself enough to be you and trust in you, and then it gives you this confidence like no other. And I swear to you, the universe will give you whatever it is that you want if you just, you know, put it out there and believe in yourself. So I think that's the biggest thing.
And do your best.
Yeah.
I love that. So on days where maybe you can't do your best, like when you are just down and out and you just like, you know, you come in and you did, Brene Brown said she does this with her spouse and you guys kind of do it together where she comes in and she's like, yeah, I'm at like a 10. And he's like, all right, I got to be a 90 today, right?
Like, that's us to a T.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
what do you do for yourself, Amy, when you're at a 10? How do you get out of that?
I go to Heather. I mean, really, legit. She pulls me right out of it. She does.
Same. I mean, it's the craziest thing because it's like we know what each other is going through. We can relate, and there's never any judgment. We can just say it all. Like, well, this is how I feel today. And maybe it's not like something that you would tell the world, but I can tell her. So,
Yeah.
So you guys talk it out.
yeah.
We do.
I do that with Trisha.
Yeah.
Usually it's either my kids, my husband, or my body. But you know what? Like, I feel like when you have a partner like that and I feel like this goes so far beyond business. Like, my husband is my best friend. We say things at the very same time and we spend so much time together. And I feel like when you can spend so much time together, whether it's good times, bad times, down times, neutral times, and still love that person and still want to spend more time with that person, it's a win. No matter what you guys are going through, whether you're running a business, you're running a family, you're on vacation with your children, which is always a bleep show, but I feel like if you have that person, if you have that anchor, like you said, everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
All right. We've obviously all been partners for far too long because we are becoming each other.
We love each other. So much love. All you need is love.
All you need is love.
And motivation.
And some epic partners like Amy and
caffeine.
Heather.
Hold on, wait. Caffeine.
Caffeine is important. I want Trisha's caffeine. That's all I want.
I'm telling you, man. We need to get sponsorships for Celsius.
Right?
For real. I did get off a plane at 1 o'clock this morning, and here I am. Let's go.
Man.
Thank God for makeup and hair, right?
So we love to give our listeners action steps and actual resources and tools they can use. So Amy, I want to start with you. What are some maybe things you use in your morning routine or apps or organizational tools that you utilize that you find help you be successful that maybe some of our listeners could utilize?
My mornings are pretty simple. Silence, I have to have silence, and yoga. I was in a car accident, so my body's pretty crunched up and I have a lot of metal and stuff. So stretching, yoga, and maintaining mind health. For me, really. I don't use a lot of apps. I'm not on my phone a lot, so I don't do any of that stuff, really. It's just quiet for me is what helps.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what quiet is, but I'll get there.
I have a 14-year-old.
What
so.
keeps you organized? Do you use a Google Calendar? Do you use pen and paper? How do you organize your life?
We don't use Google at all. Well, I don't use Google at all. It's I have a calendar, but it's through Outlook, so I live and die by my calendar. Absolutely.
So a calendar. Digital calendar.
Digital calendar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Heather?
So same with the calendar. We share our calendars with each other. Even if it's not something that she's going to with me, she knows when I have a doctor's appointment because it's so important to know, like, oh, this is what you need to do today so that we don't schedule. We're constantly scheduling things with people where we both need to be there and we need to see what is going on in each other's lives.
Right.
But for me, I think I got a Peloton in February and I'm obsessed, right? So like that for me is like my safe place. Like that's what I need to do every day. I never thought I would be this person that like if I don't work out, I'm like, oh, I didn't work out today. It's because
Trisha's rubbing off.
I keep telling Amy, I'm like, I can't even believe this is who I am now. But it's so.
But you love it.
Oh, she feels so good too. It's so cool.
And it's so
cool
much
to see.
fun. At first I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Because it hurts. Like you got to get used to it. And then now I'm used to it and I'm good and it's amazing.
Do you find that, and you, Amy, too, because you mentioned yoga, you mentioned Peloton, and what I find is, like when I'm driving or like usually when I'm walking, when I'm exercising, my brain is going. Like, especially if I'm not like doing a video. I mean, how many amazing problem-solving conversations have we had on the T-Rex at the gym? Do you think that that's a factor in like problem solving, like feeling good, brain juice? I call them brain juices. It's to get your juices flowing.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is mine is the exact opposite effect. So like I don't think at all. I just have fun and I'm singing along with the songs that are on, and like I do like to take walks in the woods and the forest. That's my happy place. I guess maybe I think a little bit there, but not. I mean, my brain is always going all day long.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's like my time
quiet.
to shut down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine is that's what I read books on Audible or listen to books. Yeah. That's my I
What
love
are you?
books.
Okay. What are you listening to?
Right now I'm I love Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. Yeah. I literally
Okay, so I'm putting it on my list because she just
Probably
got me into
listen.
Audible. I have 79 credits.
Listen.
Not, I'm exaggerating.
And
There's like
I'm like,
7.
send them to me.
I know. Can you share?
he also reads it. So it's his voice and it's so
so
cool.
good.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I
So
think
that-
I listened to that in like one day. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
It's such
What's
a
it
good
called? Green Lights?
Green Lights, yep. It's a great road trip book. It's so good. Yeah, so that one I'm listening to right now again. Another
Is it a fiction or is it like personal development?
It's personal development.
It's a little
His
bit of
story
everything.
kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Because I know
It's
he's
personal
got an
development
amazing story.
Yeah, he's amazing. Absolutely.
And he's handsome. Okay, can we?
And he's cool. Like his voice is so cool. And
Right.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. What is your favorite personal development book that we can share with our listeners?
I like Adam Grant, the author. God, what is it? Atomic Habits. Love it.
That's a good one.
Love it, love it. That was a huge game changer for me, so that would probably be my favorite.
Heather?
I read this book by Patrick Bet-David called Your Next 5 Moves. Was that what it was called? Your Next 5 Moves? I think so. It changed my life, you guys. So there's one thing in the book that talks about how everything is your fault. And I came to Amy the next day and I was like, Amy, everything is my fault. And she was like, no, it's not. What are you talking about? And I'm like, yes, it is. Because when you take on that power and you're like, it's my fault. Like, somebody fails.
You own it.
One of our processors didn't know a procedure. Well, it's my fault. And it's always my fault.
She actually leveled up after she read that book. It
because
was insane.
you can't be mad anymore because it's my fault. So what am I going to do about it, right? Oh, it changed my life.
But too, I think that's a double-sided coin. Like when your processor fails, it's your fault. But when you guys make an amazing profit at the end of the year, also your fault.
Yeah, right? Like, I mean, really, though. You get to celebrate it, too. But, yeah, it was, gosh.
Game changer.
Yeah, I was a different person after that.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Peloton coach? I love Cody. He makes me laugh so hard.
Oh, he's my favorite. Yes, he's the best.
I'm not on this bus.
Yeah.
I'm still following Autumn through the 21-day fix program. Like,
that's funny. You know, Cody's the best. He tells, he spices you up and makes you feel good. He's so great.
Yeah. He's fun. When Dave had his stroke and he was in ICU, Peloton got me through that, just listening. And then I'd be like, I'm crying while I'm riding this bike. And I'm like, this is just really emotional. And then I'd put on Cody so I would laugh.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, the women are empowering and moving.
Yeah.
But then Cody will just
he's fun.
He is. Yeah. The women will make you cry, though. They'll say some things where you're like, I didn't even think about that. No.
Yeah. Like, you are beautiful on the inside.
Yeah.
so good.
All right. So we have a lot of listeners who are entrepreneurs, business owners, not just real estate agents. But we have a lot of people too who are thinking of getting into their own business, especially now, with the way everything's going. So what advice would you give someone who's looking to enter the title industry or just start their own title company?
Come
Or
work
just start a
for
business
us
someday.
Start a business.
Don't start a title company. Come work for us instead.
Okay, shameless
go.
plugs.
No, but
Have a plan and know who you're getting into business with and understand title, because everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but there are some people out there that are realtors. I could start a title company. No big deal. It's not easy. There's a lot to it and there's a lot of risk. So understand the business and have a plan.
yeah, it's so important. So I would have said the same thing. It's relationships, right? Know the people that you're getting into business with. I can't even stress that enough.
Number one.
So important.
Yep.
And make good relationships, Be the person that, if you're the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Mm-hmm.
Go motivate yourself. Be around
Find
people.
those people. Yeah. And it's important to have a number two.
Yeah.
To have that person to bounce everything off of, so everything's not on your shoulders as the owner, as the leader, as the everybody.
Yeah.
It's important to have somebody to share that with.
Yeah, because it can be a lonely space. There was a day I was sitting in Waterford when we first opened that office, and it was just me, and it was 9 o'clock at night or something, because I like to work into the wee hours of night because my kids aren't little anymore and I can do that.
Yeah.
But I had
Super jealous of you.
I had text Sandy, and I was like, man, just sitting in this office by myself, and he sent me a picture of when we opened the Livonia office, and the last cars in the parking lot were mine and his. And then he sent me another one where it was just and it's lonely as the leaders when you're opening companies. Everybody sees the highlight reel of oh, look, you're in Turks and Caicos and you get to do all this great stuff. And it's yeah, no, it's exhausting. It is tired. It is lonely. It is heavy. When things go bad, it's all your fault. And when things go good, you stamp a picture and you move on to the next thing. It's not what people think,
Yeah.
What if you guys each had to give one action step to somebody to make their life better, what would be your action step? Do this today to make your life better.
Oh my gosh. That's a great question. Do you have one? Because I don't.
Yeah, so I'm so into the whole love yourself. But I think love yourself. That's the thing. That's the key. Believe in yourself. Know that you can do it. Because if you have a negative mindset, you're never going to do it. Mm-hmm. You're just not. So you have to love yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe you can do it, and you will do it.
Yeah, I would say that too. Therapy's helped me a lot. I never have been. I went to school for psychology. I've never thought I would be the one to go and sit on a couch with a shrink kind of a person, and I have done it for the first time in the past couple of months. Wow, what a game changer. So therapy is really good.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of stigma around it, but there's something to be said about going and just like people before therapy was created, FYI, people went to the bar and talked to the bartender. Yeah, or your hairdresser. Right, or the hairdresser, absolutely. But there's a lot to be said about just like spilling, because sometimes we just need to vent, right? And we don't want to spill all of these things to people we know, like, and trust. So there's definitely something to be said about like an uninterested third party who can hear your story and who can, kind of give you a different life perspective that has absolutely nothing to do with judgment or anything like that. I'm there. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
And then I have another question. What do you feel like success looks like for you today in this season of your life?
Happiness. I'm very, very content. So, and I mean, business is going really good. All of our people are happy. I'm happy. I've gained a best friend in my partner. So just happiness. It really is. Success is happiness for me.
Heather?
So loving myself. I just have come to this realization, it's been a great year, and just knowing who I am, I know who I am.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people never really figure out. Everybody thinks they do, but no, I know who I am. And
And you're comfortable with it. Yeah.
And I'm not apologetic about it, I surround myself with people that are judgment free, that are also, just
No drama zone.
accepting. Yeah. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's important.
No drama zone.
Stepping into your power.
Yes.
Sounds like you've stepped into your power.
Yes,
And I
definitely.
think as females, and as leaders, that's hard to do sometimes because you can feel like it's going to be seen as egotistical or braggadocious, or people are going to talk about you and you're all worried. And, I went through a lot of those things, especially in the real estate side of things, because it's so male dominant. I don't know about the title realm, but there were so many times where, and I'll say this in front of TJ and Andy, and they're like, that's silly. It's not 1920. And I'm like, yeah, well, you be a female real estate broker at the age of 25 and see what you get back. You're too young. You're a girl. You can't do that. You can't be that.
You're too emotional.
You're too emotional. You're a B word. If I go and I'm excited about this, I look like I'm bragging. You go, you're
awesome.
the world, right? Like, so I feel like as women, it's very hard to step into your power because you don't want to be seen as braggadocious or this or that, but also at the same time, coming at it, we want to be inspiring to others, right? Yes. Like, hey, if I did it, you can do it too. Hey, if I can, like, people will be like, you post your runs and your fitness. Yeah, because if I can do it, you can do it too. Right. I also was an overweight, overworked mom who had $0 in the bank account and 5 kids and high blood pressure and didn't sleep and was stressed out and hated myself, did not want to look in the mirror, did not know who I was not confident. And if I can step into that, you can too. And I love seeing you do that on social media and hearing that you prioritize that, because I think that's important for women like us to change that narrative for our people that work with us, and
our daughters,
even strangers on the internet.
Yes,
it's important because you don't know who's watching. And a lot of times I'll put a post up and I'll think, I don't know about that. And then a woman that I don't know will message me and be like, thank you so much for putting that up. And I'm like, man, I almost took that down.
Right. Right. You never know who it's going to touch. Yeah. I love your stuff, by the way.
I love your stuff too. I'm like, man, I need to
I love the pictures of you and your little man where you're like, either in the car or like before school.
Yeah, he loves his mom. He's a lover.
Yeah, and I resonate with that so much because of me and Trent, right? And he's like my road dog, like he's been by my side every day since the start and still is up till today. Right. So yeah, it resonates with people. And even if you're on the same track here, you might be on a different track here or there. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, ladies. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
So before I get my one last question, then you can do fun questions. If you could go back and tell 15-year-old you, Amy, something, what would you tell her?
That falls under the fun question category.
Don't be scared to be you. Authentically you. Kind of comes from what Heather has been talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heather, 15-year-old you, what would you tell her?
I would say you will figure out who you are, right? I don't think that I guess I didn't know that I didn't know who I was. But I was kind of always scared to, set boundaries or be this person that was like, if I say this in the wrong way, they're going to get offended. Super big on putting smiley faces in my emails. I still do. I will say that I still do it. But now I'm a little less unapologetic about, either disagreeing with somebody or just I can do it from a really kind, loving place, and I know who I am, and you figure it out. You know what I mean? So I would tell myself, you're going to figure it out, and it's going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever went through.
Yeah. And I feel that I'm really working on less emojis and exclamation marks. I don't need 16 exclamation marks or 25 emojis, and they still slip in there. I
feel like you do that because that is literally the way that you talk.
That's what I was just gonna say. I can literally hear her text when I read it. I
do
can,
the same
and
thing with
something would be wrong if it wasn't exclamation point smiley face.
So funny story.
delivery.
Yeah, funny story about that. We were at a conference, and I always use voice to text because I am literally blind as a bat.
Speak and spell ruins everything, by the way.
I know. Trust me. I've had some times where I'm like, I didn't mean to say that. But I was like texting somebody, and I'm using voice to text, right? And then I didn't say exclamation point smiley face at the end, so she finished it. She said exclamation point smiley face.
thumbs up emoji.
Right. It's hard,
So amazing.
I love it. Go ahead. You can do your fun questions.
Okay. Which one do you?
You've had all this time to think about it, and now we're debating.
Well, you put some here.
You can ask whatever you want.
Last time I asked you about the animal thing.
Yep.
So, what animal would you be and why?
Oh, great question. I love sharks. I'd be a shark. I just love. It's Shark Week on Discovery. I'd be a shark. They're so cool.
Just tearing stuff up.
Yeah.
They're terrifying.
They don't apologize.
Dinosaurs.
They're amazing.
They are. They're terrifyingly amazing.
Yeah.
I've been seeing all of these. Jason Momoa.
Yeah, he's the host of
FYI,
it. Yeah.
he's hosting.
Oh, she knows.
Yep.
She knows.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah.
They're terrifying. So.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list to dive with sharks. I would love to. Wow. Yeah. My husband
Seems
is
like a bad
deathly
idea.
scared of sharks. He won't even tiptoe in the ocean. That's how scared he is of sharks.
It's funny, like I'll jump out of a plane, but you put me by a shark or a snake, and I'm like, nope, good.
I'm not doing any of that.
Bad things could happen. Which, like, you could step on a snake. You know, you can't like do anything when you jump out of a plane. You're just falling in there.
You're literally falling down.
Yeah, but animals freak me out.
All right. Heather, what did we ask you last time?
You asked me about the animal.
You asked what she wanted for Christmas. Who's your favorite villain?
That is a good one.
Favorite villain.
It doesn't have to be comic book, like stereotypical villain. Like it could be, a Charles Dickens villain. Like
I said Biden one time.
Oh, man. That's a hard one.
That is. We don't really watch like movies or like Marvel or anything like that. That's what I think of villains.
It could be the Kardashians. You know, who do people not like? But it's your favorite.
Man.
that would say so much about her personality, right? Like,
I'm going to say myself.
oh,
Yeah.
going deep.
And why then?
Okay, so, sometimes we all have like our dark sides. We all have our sides where it's like.
Passenger.
Right. Do you watch
Schultz.
Dexter?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, Dexter's my favorite villain.
But he's not actually the villain.
That's why he's my
But
favorite.
he could be.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
doing the wrong thing. For
He
the
is
right
murdering
reason.
He
people.
murders people.
I don't think he ever really murdered anybody.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
They didn't deserve it. Like, he definitely murdered a whole
No, that was what the whole show was
know,
about. Him
yeah.
murdering people, but they were all bad guys.
No, I'm sorry.
He killed his own brother.
He's my favorite.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
That was such a good show.
It was. It really
so
was.
good.
Yeah.
I was not excited about the ending.
I don't
but-
remember it.
There's a new show out though. He continues on. With
Yeah,
this
he moved
kid.
to like Alaska, and now he's killing seals or
Yeah, me and Dave
whale
started that.
poachers or
Oh,
something.
I didn't know
like
that.
Yeah,
cool.
like it's another like it's still Dexter.
Oh,
it's like
awesome.
not
just feel
season
like-
2 because there was already season 2.
Yeah.
But, like the next level.
Cool.
So disclaimer, my dark passenger doesn't murder people. But
I mean, that's good news.
no, but like I have learned how to really like lean into my feelings or whatever it is that I'm feeling and allow myself to feel that. So I would say that is my like villain part of me, right? If I'm feeling, sad or anxious or whatever it might be, I've learned how to let myself sit with that feeling and like work through it. So, I mean, I guess I'm not a villain in that, but kind of.
That
because
shadow,
that's
shadow
not what I
is
want to
your villain,
be,
yeah.
but I accept it and I love it and I give it what it needs and then I move on. So
She's feeding the dark wolf tea.
I want to be like Heather when I grow up.
Me
Shit, I run.
I need to do that.
No, you don't. You're right on pace.
Yeah.
All right, so tell our listeners now that we've had an amazing conversation, how they can get a hold of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can always call my cell, which I think we put up the last time, but I'm going to say it again. It's 248-325-7111. If you guys want to try us out, submit an order to orders, let me look right in the camera, at epictitlemI.com. We would love to, just show people what we can do. We always tell people, just give us one deal. That's it. Just one. We'll show you what we can do.
Just like I did. You'll be hooked forever. That's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
All in.
Oh,
If you had one wish, what would it be?
Oh, goodness.
you can't say world peace. I'm over that one.
Oh, my
It
gosh.
has to be like a real wish.
Mine would be that my kids get to like live a fully actualized life. Like they get to really realize their dreams and, they get to do all of the things. Because I was a young mom. I know you were a young mom too.
Yeah, mine's totally my daughter, too, that she's happy and healthy when she grows up. I want a grandbaby. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Those are good wishes.
If you could pick any job in the world but the one you're doing, what, like you just wave your
if you
magic
weren't
wand
doing
tomorrow.
this, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
I have two. So, race car driver, for sure. I love speed and crazy, and Danica Patrick that's what I would do, for sure. Or I would be a shark researcher, because I love sharks.
I always wanted to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Again,
Oh.
I had a child very young, so that dream ended abruptly.
your abs are gone.
Yeah, they're not there anymore. But an attorney, a lawyer, like, oh, man,
She basically already is,
but
you guys, like
to
seriously.
be in court and like actually,
Yeah,
like I didn't
litigate.
realize how much I liked it
yeah.
until, like, oh,
Yeah, we had an experience, a couple of months ago, and we were on the stand, and fire. She was fire.
it was so
so
much
cool to watch.
fun.
It is fun.
I always think I would have been such a good attorney
Right?
too. Like I had to go
Only
to
because-
arbitration twice for my agents, and I came with like 150 pages of
I'm ready.
evidence. And the other agent that we went against, he was an actual attorney, and he just showed up, and I'm like, "For real, bro? That's what you got?" I won, by the way, and I was like, "I beat an actual attorney attorney."
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, I love that so much.
Well, this was so great, ladies. Thank you so much for your time. I loved it. I love getting to know you better, Amy.
Absolutely.
I was like focused on you because I like always focused on Heather. So
Appreciate that.
I wanted to round this out so we got to know a little bit of everybody, and everybody can always go back to episode 50 and learn more about Heather. And do yourselves a favor if you are in the real estate industry. Call Epic.
Listen,
They will change your lives. They will change your careers. You will no longer be running around on fire. Oh my God, I got a closing today. It should be a happy, exciting experience, and ours always are because of these ladies.
And also, even if you're not in the real estate industry, if you're planning to buy or sell a house anytime in life while you're breathing air, and your agent says we're going with this title company, you should definitely say, no, I already have a title company.
It's Epic.
It is the buyer's or seller's choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of people who are buying and sell, like I personally don't give my clients a choice, but it's fine
don't
because
either.
they're choosing you. But, there have been plenty of times where I have straight up told my client, like, listen, the company that you want to use that did your last transaction, how did that go? And they tell me the story, and I say, listen, we're not using them.
Right.
And there have been a couple who were like, well, if you're not using them, then, I don't know if this can work. And I'm like, that's cool, because you know what? If you force me to work with them, it's going to be an absolute headache nightmare, and then you're not going to like me, and then I didn't get your business anyways. So, boom.
Yeah.
Done.
That's a huge compliment.
All
Thank you.
done.
That's
Mic
amazing.
drop. All right.
We put out fresh episodes every Thursday. Wherever you're listening, watching, please subscribe, like, share, leave us a 5-star review and a love note because you love us. And come back next week for some more Elite Life. Bye.
Bye, guys.
We thank you so much for joining us today on the Elite Live with Trish and Kylie. Be sure to share the episode with a friend so we can continue bringing you more great tips on grit, grace, and real estate. You can also connect with us on Instagram, Facebook. We hope the ideas we share continue to help you build an empire and leave a legacy.